So you got knocked down. Now it's time to rise stronger than ever. This is the Forged by Fire, the Intentional Man podcast for husbands, fathers, leaders who refuse to stay broken. We rebuild with purpose, we live with clarity, and we lead like hell's watching. Let's get to work. Everybody wants a good comeback story, right? But most guys, man, they try to rebuild while holding on to everything they used to be. Now, how smart is that, right? Let me be clear. The old you has to burn. The old you has to burn. That version of you, the one that avoided blame, overreacted, and coasted, he's got to die if the real you is ever going to lead. This episode is about why letting go isn't weakness. It's the first step towards strength. All right. So when everything in my life broke, my marriage, my confidence, my identity, one of my biggest flaws, one of the biggest things that I did is I was trying to get back to normal. I was trying to get back to a man that was short, that was not living up to expectations. You see, the real problem was that normal was the problem. Normal wasn't good enough. Normal was reactive. Normal was frustrated. Normal was emotional. Normal was inconsistent. Normal was coasting. You see, when everything's going downhill and we're trying to get back to what we used to be let us slide down to that point. Now, I don't know about you, but if I'm rebuilding something that was just torn down, I probably want to understand why it tore down. And I probably want to build it back better, right? I mean, that makes sense to me. You know, if you build a house on a sandy foundation and it gets washed away, are you going to go build it back on that sandy foundation? I mean, you'd be an idiot, but you could. And then what happens? The next storm comes, it's going to be washed away again. Is that what you're trying to build? You're trying to get back to normal? Or do you want to be better than normal, better than who you were before, a better leader, a better husband, a better father? And I think I can answer that for all of us. We want to be better. Now, here's the dirty little secret about being better is there are no shortcuts. There are no easy ways around it. It's always a challenge. It's always going to stretch us. It's always going to pull us in directions we never thought we would be pulled. And what I had to realize for me was that the version of me that got me there could not get me to where I wanted to go. The version of me I was trying to get to could not get me to where I wanted to go. You know, and that's true in marriage, that's true in life, that's true in business. If you're gonna build back better. Sounds like a political saying. I'm not trying to get political here, but build back better. So what I came to realize is that old guy had to go. I couldn't be the man that I was before. I had to be something different, something better. Again, we talk about working on ourselves and looking inward. I had to take that deep look. And that meant no more clinging to my ego about who I was or who I wanted to be. I had to change everything. There was no more acting like I had it all together because I didn't. Clearly, when your life falls apart, you don't have everything all together. And I had to stop defending who I was. I had to stop defending that version of myself that wasn't working. I had to let them burn. I had to let them get forged by fire. And not all at once. It was piece by piece. The excuses, the pride, the obsession with being right, the need for control, the fake image of being the strong one when inside I was drowning. You know, I had to grieve them. I had to bury them. And then I had to get to work building something new. That's what the fire is for, right? Not to destroy you, but to refine you. You know, you think of a phoenix, and actually, you know, the sleeve tattoo I have is of a phoenix, and you know, from the ashes, you know, something bigger, something better, something that is more respectable. And that's what that fire is for, to refine you, to make you better. And all the trials you're going through right now, it's to make you a better person, a better version of yourself. And again, we're not striving for that old normal that we used to be. We want to move past that. And in fact, we don't even want to be on that same road. We want to take a completely different route, right? Because we know the foundation we built on before was sandy. So let's not even go back to that area. Let's go to someplace better, someplace that we can build a strong foundation on. And if you're trying to save face, you're going to stay stuck. If you're clinging to your old stories, your old ways, you're never going to find new ways. You're never going to write a new story. You've got to choose the burn. You've got to choose the refinement. You've got to choose to be better and understand that your old normal was not good enough. And the new normal has come, and that is now the standard. You know, I've worked for many companies in my career, and you know, every time you get a new boss, you know, they've got new vision, new direction, new, you know, whether it's a CEO or just a local manager, they've always got some new ways that they're gonna change things. And that's kind of what's happening here. You've got some new ways that are going to change things, change how you approach things, change how you do things. Now, sometimes when you get new managers, it's not for the best. Sometimes you look at that and you're like, man, we are taking a step backwards. And I've seen that more recently than I'd like to admit. But I've seen that where everything is kind of taking a step back and you're like, what's going on here? And so you've got to decide, are you going to be the one that takes a step back and wants to do things the easy way? Or do you want to take that step forward, be that manager that requires a little bit more, but in the end, everybody under him, everybody that's working for him is better for it? You've got to make that decision, right? And when you make that decision, you've got to die to your old self. You've got to make it feel like that person no longer exists and this is the new person. And that's when something powerful happens. You realize that you're still here. You're still standing, and what's left is something solid when you choose that new road. Because if you let everything that drug you down before, if you break free from all of that and work on this new you, this new improved person, it's freeing. Because now you're doing the right things for the right reasons. You know, you're building your confidence one step at a time. You're rebuilding your marriage one step at a time. And all of a sudden, all this stuff that was dragging you down is no longer dragging you down. And so when you have those hard conversations with your wife, they're built on a foundation of trust and respect. And those hard conversations are no longer hard. They're hard together. They're not hard for you and easy for her, or vice versa. You guys are working towards a common goal. And I think when you strip everything down and you let that old self die and you rise anew in this new you, take that perspective of whatever challenges my wife and I have or my family and I have, that's our challenge that we are facing together. That's not a me versus you thing. That's an us versus the world thing. And notice how that little mind shift will help you as you have disagreements, as you're approaching things. If you start to realize, okay, this isn't her versus I, this is us versus this challenge, this roadblock, whatever we have in front of us. And one thing you've got to do when you let the old go is you let the past go. Past mistakes, maybe some harsh words were said, maybe some trust was broken along the way and you're trying to rebuild that, but you've got to let some of that stuff go. You know, I had a property manager one time, just took over the property, and I went and sat down to negotiate my new lease. And the first thing she said was, you know, I can't answer for all the things that happened in the past, but let's move forward and let's try to reconcile everything going forward. And that's really the mindset we need to have. Is we've got to let all that stuff go. And we've got to move forward together with our wife. We've got to have that common goal. We've got to have that common place that we're trying to get to. And again, if you don't let that old guy die and this new one rise, and you're shooting for that old normal, you're going to be right back where you were. So my challenge to you is, again, look inside. What things have got to go? What steps do you need to take today so that you're able to get rid of that old guy and start heading in a new, better, more confident direction? These decisions or these choices, like I said, are not always easy. And that first step is usually the hardest step. And each step after that, it gets a little easier and a little easier and a little easier. But that first step on, I'm no longer going down the old normal, I'm going to the new normal, which is better, far superior than this old guy. That's your challenge. So if this hit home, share it, subscribe, review. Join the free community at Forged by Fire podcast and tell your story. In the next episode, we're talking about the daily work, discipline, devotion, why doing the work is love. And the work we talk about in my program is the intentional shift. You won't want to miss it. Thanks for listening to Forged by Fire, the Intentional Man podcast. Your comeback story starts here. Don't forget to subscribe and share with the man who needs this. And if you're ready to take that next step, join the free community. You'll find the link at forgedbyfirepodcast.com. Real conversations, real men, no more pretending. Let's rise.